I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, helps support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, helps support the cause. I get everyone involved.
Good morning. Great morning. Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle where you get your morning coach talk. Good to be back. Glad to be back. I'm going to be with you guys for the rest of the week, which is exciting. And as always on Wednesdays, joining us, Miss Lori Salarillo. Lori, great to see you.
Great to see you guys. Love my Wednesday mornings.
And Shay Money, as always, thanks for being here and running the board for us and making it all happen. I know yesterday Jake got to come on and catch everybody up on our brother's trip for golf, but it was a blast. I'm old. I'm much older than all of them, and my body gave out on me during the trip. I'm not afraid to admit that, but it was a blast. It was very cool for me because I'm brothers with both of them. And both of them are brothers from like different sides of my family. And so, and there's Steve Nudelberg's hand coming in to rub Shay Money's head. It's weird. Thanks, Dad. Good to see you. So it was very cool for me to see the bond that they've created and the way they work together and the way they, have a relationship outside of me now. And so it's truly a true family vibe. And then Aiden, who is like another adopted brother. So great stuff. Good morning to Joy Linsky. Good morning to Laura, Mike Fricara, Becky Castillo, Melissa, Ron Katz is here this morning, Michelle P, Jonathan Aaron, Jamie Tribble, the whole crew. Great to see you guys. And Mike Fricara, of course, is saying go Yankees because they finally got a dub last night.
I was hanging out with Becky and the Amarant crew last night. Really fun Miami vibe down at an event that Christina Stubbs was chairing for an organization. So really cool and really fun to spend time with them all. They're a bunch of cool people over there at Amarant.
So cool. John Wensveen here this morning. John, good to see you as well. France? It's been a long time. And there's Hector celebrating the Yankees as well. Lori, are you excited about the Yankees? I mean, I've seen you wear a Yankee hat. So, like, are you like a poser Yankee fan or are you like a real Yankee fan?
No, we're real Yankee fans. Even Mike, who was born in Miami, lived in Miami all his life, is a New York Yankee fan. We've been to a World Series. I don't know. I was excited that they made the World Series. I'm not too excited about how things are going, though.
Yeah, obviously, but they got a win last night, so they got the opportunity to make some history.
Yep, you have to win. You have to win one to try and make history.
And then, I guess I have to address this because Xiaomi comes in and says, "Go Canes," and we got absolutely obliterated this weekend by the Canes. He's
one of the UM students from Mackey's class.
What's that?
She's one of the UM students from Mackey's class.
Got it. Yeah. So the Canes came away with a big W, defeated the Noles. The Noles are an absolute embarrassment on the football field this year. There's just nothing really to talk about there. But we got a great show for you guys today. We've got some great content about leadership. Kirby Smart is going to join us to share his thoughts on leadership. We've got great music. Today is the GOTB accountability call. And it is open to everybody. It's an open invite. So normally this is only for our GOTB community, but we are opening it up to anybody who's interested to see what it looks like, what it feels like. We've got some content to start there. And I know Joy already sent me a question that she wants to talk about on that call. So that should be a great time. And then I'm excited to join Grycon Construction today. They're a general contractor. We're going to start their business development training as well. So lots of good stuff happening. Let's get to some wake-up music, and then we'll come back. And I promise I will not miss the daily affirmation.
Come on. Wake up, everybody.
Let's go. So as we do every day, which is important for everybody who's trying to get 1% better, is we start by conditioning the mind. And a great practice to do that is daily affirmations. And I like to use videos now, switching it up. So we have a great affirmation for us. Shay, play the affirmation.
You're going to lose sleep. You'll doubt whether it'll work. You'll stress to make ends meet. You won't finish your to-do list. You'll wonder whether you made the right call and have no way to know for years. This is what hard feels like, and that's okay. Everything worth doing is hard, and the more worth doing it is, the harder it is. The greater the payoff, the greater the hardship. If it's hard, good. It means no one else will do it. More for you.
Woo.
So for me, this kind of led into our conversation today. Our conversation is going to be about the cost of leadership or the difficulties of leadership, the things they don't tell you about leadership. But I just like, as you decide to do something, as you decide to get in shape, as you decide to change who you hang out with, as you decide to aspire for more, none of it is going to be easy. And so then like you're bogged down. You're like, oh, it's so hard. I'm so stressed. I feel this. I feel that. And it's kind of like been this recurring theme with us on the show where like pressure is a privilege or like what's real pressure. But like that reminder that anything worth doing is hard and I'm equipped to do this. And as the more hard things I do, the more capacity I build for myself. So I love that affirmation this morning.
Yeah, I do too. But I also think that it's what you say to yourself. If you keep telling yourself it's hard, it's going to be really hard, right?
That's a great point, Lori.
If you tell yourself, I got this. Yeah, it's hard, but I got this. It's a whole different mindset you're going into it with, right? So I think a lot of that has to do with what we tell ourselves about being hard.
And it's not like it's not going to be hard. It's not like I go, okay, it's hard, but I got it, or I'm going to do it. It's still difficult, but it changes your focus. And I think that's the really important perspective of it, which like when I did my TEDx talk about failure, to me, that's a big component of it is like, yeah, it sucks. This didn't go the way I wanted it to go. That hurts. We're human beings and it's okay to feel that. But if that remains your focus, you're toast. Right. You're never going to grow from it. You're never going to find the next aspect of it. So it's the same as when you're going through the difficulty or you're going through the hard. It's like, yeah, it's hard, but how do I change focus now to what do I do? What's the behavior I need to be focused on? Right. What's my plan? Right. Like, okay, what do I do now? What's the opportunity here? What can I learn? Like anything else other than the fact that it just hurts. Because if that's the only thing you're focused on, you're not gonna be able to grow.
You're not gonna do it. I would not go see Jake 3 times a week if I just focused on the hard, right?
You're exactly correct. And so we're talking about today embracing the hard. Today's topic's gonna be the difficulty of leadership. We're gonna have Kirby Smart talk about it. We've got an article that was written about it on LinkedIn. But before we go there, I think it's important to define what we think leadership is. I know I have our definition that I've shared with Junior Achievement and everybody that we work with. Lori, how do you define leadership? What's a simple definition for you?
You know, for me, it's something that I read a long time ago in one of Mark Miller's books called Great Leaders Grow. And for me, it defines it for me. It's motivating, influencing, guiding others right toward a common goal. And so it's so much that goes into that, but right. So there's so many things you do to influence and motivate and guide. There's so much you do to come up with that common vision and goal. But I think that is like the overarching umbrella. And that's how I think of it. Right. And that doesn't mean just the people who are under you. Right.
Well, I think that's an important part because to me, nobody has to be under you to be a leader. Right. Like we define leadership at On the Ball by taking responsibility for your behavior and using it to affect others in a positive way.
Right.
That doesn't mean You could be the bottom of the depth chart. You could be the bottom of the organizational chart. You could be the lowest man on the totem pole or woman on the totem pole. You can still take responsibility for your behavior and use it to affect others positively. That's leadership. That's motivation. That's inspiration. Like what you just said about influencing others. That's what you're doing. You're using your own behaviors to choose to affect others. And that's a fun part of leadership is like, hey, I get to try to influence and motivate, and I can use my behavior to help others. There's a lot of costs associated with that. We're going to bring Kirby Smart on the show for him to talk to us about what he thinks the costs of leadership are.
I think anyone can tell you the benefits of great leaders. Anybody can tell you what it looks like. They can tell you what leadership can do for you. They can tell you how to develop leadership. There's tons of books written on great leaders and leadership. But you won't see, and what you will never see, is people talk about the costs of leadership and costs associated with leadership, I should say. If we truly want to be honest and upfront about leadership, you can't ignore the cost of leadership. Great leaders are willing to accept those costs. And I want to share quickly 3 of those things, 3 of the costs that are plastered on my desk right behind it that kind of caught me between the eyes last week. Number 1, you will have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people you care about. Number 2, you will be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most. And number 3, you will be misunderstood and won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. Those are 3 costs that come from being a great leader.
Boom.
Yeah, so he nailed 3 really good ones. The very first one was you are going to have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people you care about, people you like, other people within your organization. And I think that's one that really is hard for people to swallow, is that like you get caught up in leadership as, oh, I'm supposed to be helping everybody. Sometimes helping people means hurting them. Sometimes helping people means telling them this is not the place for you. Sometimes helping them means you're not in the role you're supposed to be in. Wherever you are right now is not right for you, and that hurts. That sucks. But it's a decision that you have to make in order to help others.
Well, you have to make that decision for the rest of the team because, right, you have to think about everyone on the team, not just one person. And what's best at the end of the day for the organization, because if there's no organization, right, there's no team. And so it goes both ways. So I think, and as soon as I read that, and when I heard that, it made me think of a situation we had at JA where we needed a higher level of expertise in a certain area. I knew, and we tried to get the person there to develop into that, but it was not their skill set, right? And that's okay. They were great at what they did, but they wanted that title, right? And I knew once I made the decision to bring in someone at that higher level with that different skill set, that the chance was that it was going to negatively affect that person. Mm-hmm. And they might leave. And that is what happened, right? They were hurt. As much as I tried to explain why, they were hurt and eventually left the organization. Not in a negative way, but just, wanted that next level. So, but it was best for the team. It was best for the organization.
But it's also best for them. Like, and I think this is where people struggle with that difficult conversation one-on-one is like, yes, I'm making this decision for the overall good of the organization. We need more from this position. You're not able to do it right now. What does that mean for you? How is this an opportunity for you? It's a reality check. It's a moment for you that you get to choose what I can't do it for you, but you get to choose what you do at this moment. You can say, here's a moment of realization. I get to listen to it and try to understand it and then try to take what I can from it to grow, or I can run away from it and I can ignore it and say, point all the fingers and do all the things. But this is for you just as much as it is for the team. It's a moment for you as an individual.
Right. And what do we talk about all the time? Self-awareness, right? So depending on the person's self-awareness is how they will receive it and how they'll react and behave, right? So yes, that may be true. And yes, I said, right, that's what I said. Be
Right.
the best at what you do. You'll continue to grow. You'll continue to move up, but be the best at what you do. I'm not great at some things, and I know that, right? So that's not something I aspire to be, but you have to be self-aware to also have that reaction. So I think it goes together.
So the second thing that Kirby had talked about was being disliked, right? Which I think is interesting because it's this walk between popularity with your people and the dislike of, I'm going to push you to places that make you uncomfortable. I'm going to point out your blind spots. I'm going to have difficult conversations with you. I'm going to challenge you to be more than you think you can be. And none of that is going to necessarily make you like me. Maybe in the long run, because you're going to get more out of yourself. And if you succeed in this, you'll look back with perspective to say, oh, wow, that was really helpful. But you're probably not going to like any of this as I'm doing it. And I think that's another point of like, hey, as stepping into a leader, sure, it's cool to be the one who's in the front, but are you okay with being disliked? Because you got to challenge everybody.
Yeah. And it isn't always about an individual person. Sometimes you make a decision for an organization, right? You try to do the best for the most people, whether it's those you serve, right? Or the people that work for the organization. Some people are not going to like the decision. So you're going to be disliked for that decision by somebody more than likely, right? Now, hopefully they get behind it, but if they can't, right, then that's a different story. But you're making the best decision for the most people. And there's going to be somebody in there that doesn't like it.
Which leads you then directly into the fact that you're going to be misunderstood at times, and you're not going to have the opportunity to explain to people why you made a decision, what your thought process was behind it. And that's just a reality. You're not going to be able to get everybody to understand. You're not going to be able to get everybody to know what you were thinking and what was happening. You just have to allow people to either misunderstand you or trust you in those moments.
But I think there's internal, you can be misunderstood internally as well as externally.
Sure.
Look, we are on display as leaders in the community. I believe, right, that it's not just what I do in my organization, but externally in the community as a community leader, right? I am scrutinized. Somebody who might not like me, somebody who might be jealous, somebody might be insecure, whatever, they're going to say things about me as a leader.
Yep.
And I'm not always going to have the chance to defend myself.
Yep.
Right. So I always say, right, you will be misunderstood.
Yep.
It's a given, internally or externally. Stay true to who you are, because you may not be able to defend yourself. However, the truth and your authenticity eventually always, in my opinion, always wins out.
I mean, this conversation shows up when we start working with organizations and modernizing their business development plans. When we start teaching people how to use LinkedIn and how to market themselves, right? Like, we very rarely say that just flat out more is better, but in marketing, more is always better. More awareness is always better. If more people know who you are, if more people see you on a consistent basis, that's just better in marketing. It just is. And LinkedIn offers you an unbelievable opportunity to do that. But it's the same. People are looking at you going, why are you posting on LinkedIn every day? Or why are you sharing that? Or why are you doing this? I don't really need you to understand. I know why I'm doing it. I know what it does for me as a leader within my community, within my team, within my organization. That's what matters. I don't need the buddy that I went to college with, who I haven't spoken to in 15 years, who's wondering, why is Mark posting all the time? I don't really need him to understand, nor do I care whether or not he understands.
Right. And I think that comes down to you right? Look in the mirror Who am I? What did I do? Do I deserve do I deserve to be misunderstood? Did I do what I thought was best for the right reasons? And you know what? At the end of the day, that's what you have to focus on, because there's going to be people that are going to misunderstand and are going to be haters, no matter what you do.
And at the end of the day, if you go back to our definition of leadership, it's just taking responsibility for your behavior and using it to affect others in a positive way. If you live inside of that framework, if you measure all of your behavior versus, am I taking responsibility for this? Hopefully that will keep you from finger pointing. That will keep you from talking behind people's backs. That will keep you from doing the negative things. And then you go, okay, am I taking responsibility for it? And then am I using it to affect others in a positive way? Makes it pretty simple for you to figure out what to do and how to do it. That I would say, when I look for leaders inside of an organization, that's the main thing. Show me somebody who's taking responsibility for themselves and actively trying to affect others. Those are your leaders. I don't care how good they are at their actual job. They have the intangibles of what it takes to be a leader.
Yeah. And, I think as someone who has led teams for a lot of years now, everybody wants to be a leader. They see the pay, they see the glory part, right? They see all the positive things, right? The stature, all of the things that they put in that. But I don't think everybody understands how hard, right? We talked earlier about being hard. It is to be a great leader.
Yep.
Right. And I didn't say a perfect leader, right? I said a great leader. There are hard decisions. There are decisions that hurt people sometimes. I don't mean hurt physically or mentally, but
you
that
never
are not
physically hurt them, but definitely mentally.
Yeah. I mean, because it could affect. Right. So, it's hard to be a great leader. But
I love what Mackie says. Getting to the top of the mountain is hard. Staying there and making the difficult decisions to move things forward is even harder. Exactly. Yep. Which is why people who have sustained success and do it year after year after year, or do it after failures and come back and reinvent and continue to go. That's why those stories and their principles are so important to study, because they've figured it out. They've understood how to do that hard consistently for so long. So, Lori, a great conversation. I've got some nice motivational morning music picked out for us that I think lends into leadership. Yeah. I think this is what all leaders should be saying and doing for their people. And it's a very unique rendition of the song. So we will go out with morning motivational music. Remember that if you want to get better, if you're interested in what we do and how we do it, all you have to do is go to ontheball.co and figure out all the different ways we help organizations and individuals get 1% better every day. Lori, thank you for a great show. Morning motivational music will take us away. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand.